November 9th to November 29th, we have Mercury going retrograde out of Sagittarius back into Scorpio. With Mercury in Sagittarius right now, communication can feel quite bold, authorized, and without hesitation, taking the risk on expressing ourselves in particular ways, taking the chances on expressing ourselves in particular ways that feels authentic to us, that feels natural to us, and that feels like we are using our communication to deliver an expression of what it means to feel authentic in ourselves. Now, what reflects off of this is the opposition that I'm about to explain in this discourse between Aries Chiron and Libra Venus. So this is a presentation to yourself that you later, from November 9th to November 29th, are going to have a reflection on. You're going to have a review on this. But right now, it's live time, okay? This live time is a reconnaissance mission. A reconnaissance mission on your communications and your expressions and what it means if it should threaten the status of your relationship connections that you have. So at Libra in your natal birth chart, the themes around that house environment, there are relationships there that you value, that you appreciate, that you really do care about. And you realize that this free expression of yours through Sagittarius Mercury, taking the chance and taking the risk, letting it be known, letting it come out the way that it needs to come out naturally, because Sagittarius is undressed, okay? It is to not cut your nails, it's to not trim your hair, it's not to shave, it's to be as you are. Boom, I'm here, just like this, hairy legs and all that, you know what I mean? So it's your expression unpolished. It's your expression undressed. So in your most natural expression, and I know all about this because I have the South Node at Sagittarius. I have a stellium in Sagittarius South Node. And you can hear it every time I come up here to talk to you all. It's wild, it's ignorant, it's undressed, it's just boom, just splatter out there. My lifelong challenge and lesson is to learn to perfect my communication, to learn how to clean up my communication. But does that stop me from being me? Does that stop me from delivering? Does it stop me? No, it don't. And it's not gonna stop me. I still show up knowing that every time I show up, there could be more improvement that I owe. There could be better ways that I could deliver, that I could say certain things. You know what I mean? But I'm willing to be imperfect. I'm willing to make mistakes. I'm willing to get up here and just be myself. As long as I'm authentic, I know I can improve. You understand? So you got the same challenge going on that I have going on also as it relates to communication, Mercury. And so at Aries, Chiron, this is where you have gotten a feel of what it means to be you naturally, authentically, and truthfully. And it feels good to you. It feels natural to you. But what ends up happening is you're noticing that it's taxing you too. It's costing you, or it could cost you, you know. And so it's like, okay, I finally got the feel of what it's like to be my natural self. But in opposition to that is what I wish to harmonize, create, sustain, maintain, manage, concerning the status of how I'm relating to other people, how they're perceiving and receiving me or not. And rather than not me expressing myself freely the way that I do, it's going to end up costing me the connections that I really appreciate. You know, am I going to get isolated and rejected all over again because I found my swag, because I found my style? You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those type things. You found your swag, you found your style, you walking in it, you know what I'm saying? You got your little ditty bop going on. No ditty. You got your little ditty bop going on, you know what I mean? You feeling yourself, but other people ain't feeling the fact that you feeling yourself. You know what I mean? Other people is offended by the fact that you are celebrating yourself, you know? And it's not because of the fact that you celebrate yourself, it's because who you are naturally, you're going to find that some of your relationships were based on inauthentic terms. Some of the foundations of relationships that you had were calibrated in illusions and delusions. Okay, so it's much like, for example, I know this may be an extreme example, but I don't mind to take a chance with that. When women get on birth control, okay, it fucks with the hormones and they become attracted to people who they otherwise wouldn't be attracted to. You get in a relationship with somebody because you want birth control, you really feeling this person, but if something changes to where you're no longer on the birth control, your hormones go back to default, now you're looking at this person like, I don't know why, but I'm disgusted with this guy. I can't stand this dude. Can't just get this guy the fuck away from me. You know, it's like you come back to your senses and everything is upside down and you don't know why. You're confused and you're feeling bad, have a guilty conscience because he didn't do nothing to you, but it's just a biochemistry that's a misfire, you know, because of the birth control. You understand? And a lot of people, unfortunately, find this out after they already had a baby with somebody. You know what I'm saying? You before you got pregnant, before you had the baby and your hormones were adjusted because of the pregnancy or because of the fact you got off of it because you're about to have a baby. You know, now your real senses come back to default and you're looking at the baby father like somebody who you just wish you would have never met. You know what I'm saying? It's manifesting the same type of thing. It's where now that you found your little ditty bop, you know what I'm saying? Now that you found your own natural swag, you feeling like yourself, you really feeling yourself. You're like, yeah, you know, I figured out who I am. I know who I am. This the way I like to be. You're gonna find that the relationships that you had going on, okay, there could be discrepancies in there where now, you know, now that you're not bending to or subscribing to their ideals of you, okay, this also goes back to Neptune Aries. And the fact that Neptune is now back at Pisces, it's going back over the concept of who you are. Not the ideal of who you are, but the actual concept, the essence of who you realize you are. And the concept of who you are, it's being informed by this opposition that's going to be reviewed by Mercury when it goes into stations into retrograde. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, were we friends for the right reasons? Were we just trauma bonding? You know what I'm saying? Were we together because we was laughing at things that, you know, I really didn't find funny, but I just wanted the security or false security of having these people surrounding me, connected to this person, you know, that I feel, you know, comfort in the numbers and not the quality. You know, it could be many different factors. Why did I connect with this person? Why did I rock with this person? Why was I really feeling this person all along? And now I'm just coming to the realization, hold up, you know, we really ain't even got nothing going on. We don't really have nothing in common, because now that I'm being myself, I'm finding out that, you know, we really ain't, you know, we really ain't on the same page. You know, we're somewhat different. We're expecting something different. And they're expecting me to keep on being a person who I got tired of being. And now that I'm being myself, you know, it's a problem for them because they don't like the fact that I'm, you know, being myself. They think that I changed and became someone new, but really I changed and became who I really am. You see what I'm saying? So some relationships could dissolve and fall apart because of that, you know, and don't fight it. You know what I mean? Don't fight it. Don't resist it. And Black Moon Lilith and Mars, okay? This opposition, as we built up to this opposition of Venus and Chiron, Mars was building up its conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, all right? This conjunction energy, prior to and after, Mars is acting as the force that pushes, you know, the toothpaste up the tube, you know. Black Moon Lilith is like the, you know, the substance in the toothpaste. It's the actual toothpaste in the toothpaste tube, okay? You're the toothpaste tube. Mars is the pushing effect that's pushing the toothpaste up, you know, to the top of the tube to come out. And that's Black Moon Lilith, which is your shadows that you're hiding and suppressing. The things about yourself that you have been ashamed of that you didn't have reason to be ashamed of. It's because somebody else said that you should have been ashamed of expressing yourself that way, being that way, or, bopping the way you bop down the street. You know what I'm saying? And so As that toothpaste comes up, you got to claim it. Yes, that's mine. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's me. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, that's me. That's me too right there. Yeah, let me get all that. Yeah, all that's me. I'm going to incorporate that into myself. I'm going to make that bond inside of who I am, and I'm going to walk with this. I'm going to walk these dogs. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to walk these dogs. So you decided that through Black Moon Lilith, you're going to walk these dogs, and people are offended at the fact that you're walking the dogs, but you already decided that these dogs are yours, and you ain't letting them off the leash. You're keeping them with yourself. You're claiming them. You're not hiding them anymore. And, that too is part of how we come to realize the Black Moon Lilith effect. Okay, it's the discomfort that's posed between the opposition of Chiron and Venus, which is between the expression of the natural identity, the authentic identity, and the natural powers that we have here in life that we're always authorized to act through, and how it makes some other people uncomfortable, how it makes some other people feel like they need to reject you. That is the Black Moon Lilith effect that's being conjured up so that we can take ownership of it, not run away from it, so that we can embrace it and not turn our back on it, so that we can, incorporate it into the self and not justify excuses on why we have to continue hiding and suppressing parts of ourselves into shadows. You see what I'm saying? And then they wreak havoc in the juvenile delinquency and the under earth of Scorpio inside of our being. You know what I mean? And we got to recover them again through shadow work. So we just got done with shadow work. So we're not going to hustle backwards. You know what I mean? What I'm going to explain in this discourse coming up, as you continue to listen, is the fact that we are meant to root our criterion of judgment back to the matriarchal foundation of the self, not the opinions and threats of other people. All right, let's get that understood right now. All right. So, with that being said, I'm going to clarify a few things, with this. And what I want to explain, before I even go into that is, we can't be spiritual if we're not warriors. We can't be afraid of the truth. Let me say that again. Only warriors can be spiritual. It's time for confession. Look in the mirror and confess. Confess your cowardice. Confess your fears. Confess the fact that you've been running away from the truth. Confess the fact that you're resisting the truth. Confess it. You're better off confessing. You don't become empowered by denying it and running away. You become empowered by confessing it, admitting it, that this is the case. That's where correction begins. Collectively, we all have our conscience to clean up. And we all have to admit to what our forefathers did to humanity, all of us, and what our role is to save humanity from the corruption, the oppression, the injustices, the generational curses that our ancestors or forefathers put into the blood or society, the family, the culture. And we have to take ownership of it and not run away from it, pretending like we don't know it, like we can't see it. And I'm not going to be shy to say a lot of white people is going to struggle with that because y'all not used to that. A lot of y'all are not used to that. Some of you may feel entitled to not be examined. Some of you might feel like, it's not somebody else's place to say, hey, listen, you got some homework to do too. There's things in your house to clean up too. And a lot of that has to do with what your forefathers did to humanity, what your forefathers did to every society, every world on this earth. They did things that last for a very long time and has lasting effects and impact on all indigenous people of this earth. And even though you may not have masterminded it, you may or may not have benefited from it, but it is your karmic role to contain it because it's in your father's house. I may not have been the one, who was selling crack to children and mothers and fathers, poisoning the community. I may not have been the one robbing people, sticking people up. And some of that stuff I did do. Some of it I did, and I can confess it. And I can acknowledge that it was wrong. I may not have been the super thug. I may not, have done this part or done that part. But I participated. I enabled. I instigated. I promoted the culture that did deliver it. I was part of the dysfunction of the Black community. I was part of the legacy of dysfunction that corrupts the community from the Black community's house. There are curses from my father's house that I continue on, and I had to become conscious of the fact that I have to confess it, and that's an action. I also have to denounce it actively and openly. I have to atone for it, because in the atoning of it, when I atone for it, I am actively practicing the forgiveness that I owe myself, and I am practicing the forgiveness that I need to afford others out of compassion that I realized that I needed to have for myself in that atonement. Now I must work and perform against what should not have been. And white people have to do the same thing. The whole world is acknowledging and seeing that every indigenous people had the same enemy. And that was white Christian nationalist males and Khazarians with the small hats. Y'all know who I'm talking about. These two right there went all over the earth, pushing oppression, genocide, violence, theft, robbery, manifest destiny, and doctrine of discovery, unum sanctum, initiating the spread of the Spanish Inquisition, mixing of bloods intentionally to obscure lineage and to place others in status of non-descent, totally manipulating civics and law of equity. Destroying history, historical facts, narratives, so that their crimes are not traceable, so they don't have to face accountability. But even though the facts and the data was manipulated, the truth can never be manipulated. That's the difference of what I'm talking about with Scorpio. Because Scorpio is what is transferring us into the new reality. We have to pass through accountability to get there, because guess what? Truth is what sets you free. That's why Scorpio is before Sagittarius. You align with truth at Scorpio, and then you are set free in Sagittarius. You ain't gonna skip that motherfucker. No, you ain't. You ain't skipping it. You have to deal with truth before that you can claim true freedom. Truth, and you got to align with it. So even though he masterminded like a magician, covering his tracks by the pen, by the letter, by the book, by false narratives, every people on earth confused about who they really fucking are. Estate, land, property, rights, status, greedily consumed by himself, feeling entitled to everything that the earth has to offer at any price that he's willing to go in crime and deceit. And this has been his earthly legacy. His earthly legacy since 1492. He ain't stopped yet. Lies upon lies upon lies. Women are supposed to be the conscience of their men. White women have to learn how to be the conscience of white men when they are in this mindset of white Christian nationalism and white supremacy. White women have to learn how to be the conscience that reminds him of his moral obligations and limitations that he ought not cross, and to witness for him when he's about to step over the line of karmic inheritance and debt that he will see later if he does not observe it. Silence can be very violent. Silence can be destructive and dangerous. Silence can carry more harm. Silence is not innocence. Hiding away in the back is not innocence. That does not clear you just because you hide well. White women have been very good at hiding, going under the radar. Oh, I'm just going to go over here. Nobody's going to see me. Nobody's going to call me out. Oh, I'm just going to sit right here and let everybody else fight. DEI was her benefit. Majority of beneficiaries of DEI were white women. Food stamps and welfare state was originally made with her intention, with her intended. It was modified for black people with disingenuous intentions for them to separate the families, to weaken the families by Lyndon B. Johnson. But the original intent of the welfare and governmental benefits was for white women. And even till this day, it's white Republican women who benefit from stamps the most. But they hide in the back, escaping any scrutiny or examination. It's okay if you hide in the back as long as you are fighting from back there. As long as you are taking your portion from back there. As long as you are working your portion of atonement towards humanity from there. But being silent, doing nothing, and enjoying the convenience of your entitlement and the fact that society was designed for your benefit and your gain is betrayal. It is active betrayal. Now, along the same line of women being the conscience of every relationship and community, which I will expound on as I go further in this discourse, so-called black women, black American women, we've come to where the process of atonement has to take place, in the fact that sisters could have been condoning, enabling, and promoting the wave in culture, the destructive wave in culture of feminism throughout black American families. Acknowledging and confessing what it has done to the black family, what it has done to the community, and also acknowledging the fact that your influence as a black American woman, it reaches the entire globe. Women of every nation, nationality, and demographic looks to the black woman for their marching orders into how liberalism and feminism is to be expressed, how it is to be defended, how it is to be delivered. They look to the black American woman for that. Even African women look to them for that. In all nations, people study black Americans for how to fight in a civic disposition using culture and spirit and boldness. Black women have misled women of the entire earth by leading them into a burning house of feminism and extremes of liberalism. and it has destroyed families. It has corrupted families. It has set child against father. It has alienated fathers in the masculine principle. It has betrayed husbands. 70% of divorces are initiated by females, thus exposing that divorce in America is incentivized. There is benefit in it for her to divorce. There is gain in it for her to divorce. The family courts, divorce courts are automatically adjusted in her favor. He doesn't stand a chance when he goes to court. There has to be a confession about the legacy of feminism in Black American families and the influence that it has transferred over to all families of this nation. Her misandry, her lack of chastity, lack of modesty, lack of self-respect, recklessness and carelessness with her womb, hypersexuality, self-objectification, her nakedness, promiscuity. She has had several epidemics unrecorded of STDs in the past 3 years. Least married, a reputation of not being able to keep a man, but damn sure can get one for recreational uses. Her self-hatred. Nobody has seen her real hair, her real eyebrows, her lashes, her real skin on her face, her real nails, her real teeth in 6 years. There has to be confession in these things, and that is an active confession, a change of course. There has to be atonement that expresses self-forgiveness. But to ignore it and pretend like you didn't participate, like you didn't condone and enable, like you did not feed the fruition of those generational curses, like you did not sustain and nurture those curses, that would be the worst mistake that you can make, because none of us are going to escape negligence. Mark my words. I am a warner to you. I am not only a messenger to you, I am a warner to you. Woe unto you if you think that you're exempt. Woe unto you if you think you are exempt. In fact, I dare you to laugh and mock on what I'm saying. I double dog dare you. Because one thing I know is what I say is going to come to pass. Aries Chiron in opposition to Libra Venus. Why should I have to choose between the authentic expression that I've found in myself, that I've recovered in myself, tiptoeing, and losing what I really value in relationships? Why do I have to choose one or the other? Why does it seem like the relationships that I really do appreciate, the status thereof that I really do appreciate, it seems to conflict with the most sincere convictions that I have in my spirit that I must express? The pleasure of being me is the displeasure and discomfort of you being you. The happiness that I find in being who I am, the natural flow that I find in expressing who I am, seems to be a crisis for them. What do we do here in this conflict? The place where it hurts to be you, it's uncomfortable to be you. And that threat, the lingering threat, where they turn against me because I'm this way. Will they reject me and walk away because I'm this way? Will they shut me out because I'm this way? Good question. It's not your concern. What is our concern are two things: moral integrity and ethical conduct. That's it. The rest is destiny. The rest is fate. What this reminds us of at this checkpoint of this opposition is our allegiance and loyalty to matriarchal mother Cancer. Being a loyal son or a loyal daughter, S-U-N, to the matriarchal mother Yemeya, the moon, Cancer. That is, the criterion of judgment is not in reference to the consequences that people threaten you with or that they hold over your head for you being you. The criterion of judgment is, have I consulted the matriarchal mother in my delivery and my expression, and what I say, what I think, what I do? Have I consulted the matriarchal mother, Cancer, my moral compass, my moral foundation, and my moral convictions? Have I consulted my inner child and what I'm expressing, initiating, creating, being a part of, manifesting as expression of the self? Am I delivering my first house expression without violating matriarchal mother Yemeya, without overstepping her boundaries? Have I delivered with ethical consideration, making it as painless as possible? If so, let your conscience be clear. Let your heart be clear. Hold no guilt and hold no shame. And the consequences of that, it is your destiny. If they walk away, it's your destiny. If they don't want to fuck with you, it's your destiny. If people change up, switch up on you, it's your destiny. If you have considered those things. Other people are not your criterion of judgment. Your criterion of judgment is your moral conviction within the self. The sensitivity that you have to right, wrong, good, and bad. Honoring it, reverencing it as the womb that bore you. What serves as the infrastructure around that, it is accountability. The balancing factor to the moral conviction. I am responsible for what I say. I am responsible for what I do. I am responsible for the thoughts that I select. I am responsible for my expression, for my behaviors and the patterns that are set in my behavior that forms the character that I have chosen at the 10th house. I am responsible. And I take accountability for the reaction I get, the response I get, the consequence I get, the outcome I get. I take accountability. I own up to it. I do not do what I don't wish to own up to. I only do that which I am willing to own up to. I do not say what I am not willing to own up to. Clear the conscience. Free the conscience. Keep the conscience clear. If the conscience is not clear, we cannot create. We are not creative. Innovation cannot manifest with a guilty conscience. Aries in the first house. Chiron. What are the pains of your first house? What are the pains of that sign? What are the pains of that aspect? What are the pains? What are the pains of being a Leo rising, a Sagittarius ascendant, a Scorpio first house, a Taurus first house, a Gemini first house? What are the pains of being that person? What is it? What are the vulnerabilities? What is it about that energy that threatens the status of the connections and relationships that you wish to cherish in your life? What do you remember of being tempted to change who you are and suppress who you are because somebody might walk away from you, or people might reject you, or you lose some opportunity? Are we going to start this cycle over again, and have we learned? What have we learned? We have to reference this back to Black Moon Lilith, because Black Moon Lilith don't give a fuck. She with all the smoke of that. What it is what it is. I'm going to be true to me. I'm going to be myself. I can pack it to make sure I can minimize the pain of me being me. Minimize the disturbance of being me. Lean into some diplomacy and ethical wisdom and delivery. I'm going to consult the Oracle of Cancer and Moon to be sure that my moral commitment is consistent with what I'm doing. I'm going to consult Saturn to make sure that I'm operating in ways that does not generate karmic debt upon my soul. And from there, I'm going to deliver. And what the consequences are, it is. I accept it. That is Black Moon Lilith. Are we learning? Let's move around. What is woman? Who is woman? The demographics, the races, the communities, the nations. Women, including relationships, every relationship, women serve as a circumferencing moon of every one of those relationship status. Women. They are the circumferencing moon. Where the sun is present, she is witness. Where he has been present, where he has had presence, she is witness. In her witnessings, she observes patterns. And those patterns, it serves as an oracle insight to strategy. And that is the manifestation of the power of Pallas Athena through the archetype female. So likewise it is with the moon. The moon reflects the light of the sun. In that reflection, it is to remember justice. It is to remember consequence. It is to remember the effect and impact that we have as we circumambulate around the zodiac wheel in the presence of self through the sun, S-U-N. Therefore, woman, she is the reminder of the patterns of relationships, the patterns of behaviors, the patterns in words, and where violations have taken place to the Divine Mother Yemayah and her superior law, the matriarchal law of good, bad, right, and wrong, advocacy, and justice, care. That is where her sight does not move. She remains as witness and officer of the moon. She is officer of lunar authority. She is officer of Yemayah. That is a woman. When you see a woman, you're looking at an officer who is authorized as witness to moral law. And she is witness to any of our violations of moral law. That is her nature. That is her foundational purpose. And it's who she is in various ways. The woman is the reminding tongue, the reminding voice that initiates reflection. That awakens the conscience, conscience, the conscience in every person and relationship and tension. And again, this includes all of the Cancer, Jupiter themes of groups, clans, villages, cliques, demographics, societies, nations, and so on. The voices of women, when they are in their right mind, it guides and directs the will of Allah or God, the Most High, however you wish to say. I don't give a fuck. She guides and directs the will of God. How does she guide and direct the will of God? Because she reflects back to us our moral obligations. She reflects back to us what should be considered of our moral commitments. And who should be considered in every idea, operation, strategy, mission, project, any intention. She reminds us of what should be included in it. And that is her portion of advocacy, care, well-being and wellness for all of those who are vulnerable, all of those who are weak, all of those who are meek, all of those who are at disadvantage or misfortune. And this is where woman represents the archetype of Ceres. This is her role. What this does for man, who is the archetype of patriarchal infrastructure order that delivers the will of the matriarchal intent, that sustains and protects the will of the matriarchal law, is what saves man from subjecting himself to karmic debt. When we consider the oracle of the woman, when she is in her right mind, we avoid karmic debt. We avoid karmic penalty. She is the warner. is also the witness of karma. In Ifa Yoruba African spiritual tradition, this is called Iyami Aje, the good mothers of earth, who are also called the witches. This is a supernatural cosmic force, and the supernatural cosmic force is superior in those women who are connected to their moral compass and convictions. She is quite prophetic, and a high priestess in this authority. What spoils and utterly destroys this power in her, and what corrupts her, is when she is not guarded and protected from early on. When she's not guarded and protected, we know that there are many misfortunes that can happen in a woman's life, a little girl's life, especially from sexual mischief. When a woman observes chastity for herself, modesty for herself, she protects and preserves the power of her lunar cosmic force, her ability to channel and align with universal will and intent of the Most High through her connection to the Most High, through her nature as the oracle moon, the light that reflects back wisdom, the light that reflects back well-being, wellness, best interest, the light that reflects back the thresholds and limitations that we ought to observe in our behaviors. Protecting women, defending women, it does not look the way that women articulate it. Women will always articulate their own protection in contradictory ways. And it's not their fault. It's a simple delusion that goes over their nature. Yeah, clutch your pearls, unsubscribe, make it in your mind that you're not going to hit the like button because the infamous had the nerve to say it, but guess what? I don't give a damn. I'm saying it, and my conscience is clear. I don't know who give a fuck, but I ain't one of them. Protecting women it requires infrastructure. It requires order. Infrastructure and order that is informed by matriarchal law. And what is matriarchal law? Moral insight, moral conviction, moral value, moral recollection, righteousness. What this manifests as is preserving who she is. Feminism does the exact opposite for women. It exploits who they are. It doesn't preserve who they are. Patriarchal white Christian nationalism does the same. It exploits who they are, not preserves who they are. And it is more dangerous than feminism because it comes in the guise of righteousness. Chastity is among the most important practices for women to manifest protection and security for women. That no mischief, no darkness, no violation, no impression, no injustice comes to her womb. To protect her womb. Sexual misconduct, fornication, promiscuity. These are things that warps and destroys a woman. It disconnects her from her power and her clarity. It separates her from her security. It warps her identity and her ability to realize her identity. It sets her in a pace and pattern of self-undoing and self-destruction. Chastity and modesty are among the most important practices to preserve the nature of a woman. Because she is an officer of the Cancer Dominion, the Cancer State, the Cancer Queendom. She is an officer of that force, a high priestess of that force, a consultant of that force, oracle of that force. Should she fall into these darknesses, should she fall subject to not being protected and guarded, preserved, honored, and reverenced as she must be, it's not too late. All is not lost. She's not utterly ruined beyond healing and repair. Her restoration is through Scorpio and Pluto. That is her restoration. Scorpio and Pluto. This is where she serves as the priestess of disillusionment and empowerment. As a priestess of disillusionment and empowerment, she becomes a witness to the truth and nature of man and woman. She becomes the officer that directs the will of the Most High to where karmic power should bring renewal. And what does that mean? When a woman's forces are through Scorpio and Pluto, she has a destiny in crisis. She has a destiny in darkness. She has a destiny with evils, but it does not make her evil. She transmutes and transforms large scales of pain, torture, agony, trauma, drama, powerlessness, hopelessness, death, destruction, doom. She's fighting for life. What happens here is she becomes the archetype of Pluto. As the archetype of Pluto, she's a resurrector. Yes, the default of woman is Cancer and Moon. But what happens when death visits the living? What happens when we become victims of greater powers and forces? What happens when we come to the limitations of our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in life, and there is trauma to pass through? This is where she serves as a guardian at the 8th house. The guardian at the 8th house is different than the lunar force that circumambulates the 1st house of individuals, but she circumambulates the house of where power struggles take place. And this primarily relates to the family and community dynamics, where there is emotional intensity that requires the sensitivity and wisdom and intuition, transformational power of the woman's nature. Reason being is because the 8th house is not a place where logic can get you through. It's a place where wisdom, emotional insight, and clarity, as well as resilience and humility, is your only hope for processing. But what she keeps watch on as a witness is trustworthiness. Who is trustworthy? Who understands loyalty? Whose word is their bond? Let's say it again. The woman who is destined to pass through such traumas, the Mary Magdalene traumas, the Mary Magdalene darknesses of the underworld, who has been unguarded in life, she becomes the vanguard that directs the will of God to judge karmic justice as it relates to trustworthiness and loyalty and truth. She is sharply in tune where truth is superior to the facts. Truth is superior to the data. She recovers truth, and she makes sure that truth is what we keep our loyalty to. She makes sure that truth is what we find a way to align with our strength, power, and resources. Thus, directing the will of God in our life to manifest trustworthiness in ourselves as individuals and as participants in community, family, demographic, nation, society. Trustworthiness. What does it mean to be trustworthy? What are the signs of a person who is not being trustworthy? Why is it important that what you say is what you do, and what you say is what you mean, and that your word is your bond, and your bond you keep and you don't break? Women who pass through much trauma, this is their focus and emphasis is, who is trustworthy, whose word is bond, and where is the truth regardless of your little funky ass facts, data, and statistics? Where's the goddamn truth that your soul knows and my soul knows is the case that we must find the courage and resilience to align with if we are going to be trustworthy? She is the guardian of trustworthiness, consistency, because that is what allows unification. To bond with confidence and clarity is trust. When a woman is violated in her life, especially sexually early on, when she is not covered and protected, she becomes hypersensitive to trust. She becomes hypersensitive to whose word is their bond. And she becomes hypersensitive to truth regardless of the facts in front of her. I'm bringing these details up to clarify. No nation rises higher than its woman, and where we are going without protecting and educating women, we go nowhere. She's coming out of feminism. She's being delivered from feminism. And at the same time that this happened, there was a decentralization of families from governmental resources, handouts, programs, and other convenient opportunities. What is the underlying intention in this? It's passing the responsibility back over to the people to see themselves as clans, nations, communities, tribes. It's manifesting tribalism. This is where we become tribes again as we first began. We've always been tribes. And it wasn't until the centralization of government that we were no longer tribes. We are forming tribes. We are manifesting tribes. And every tribe, except through white Christian nationalists and Constantinian Romans, we have always lived by matriarchal leadership. And what is matriarchal leadership? Our patriarchal order is consistent with and in service to the matriarchal sensitivities that we have in our tribe. It is a reason why men learn how to fight, why men learn how to hunt, and why men learn how to build. It's because through such practices, it guarantees security for the matriarchal archetype, the woman and children. We're returning back to that. We can't get back to that if women are drunk in feminism. And you may say, what about the men? Men form themselves according to the likes, desires, and requests of women. And it's that fucking simple. Get over yourself. And all the what-isms. Get over yourself and all the what-isms. That's the problem with a lot of females in our nation. When it comes to accountability, it's always, oh, well, what about what men are doing? Like some fucking kids that you're raising. You tell one kid, stop running in and out the house. And instead of taking the admonition, oh, well, what about so-and-so did so-and-so? Grow the fuck up. Come on. We got shit to do. Grow up. Men change the instant that they see that women have a different image, character, and standard that they're going to respond to. It's that simple. If you go to one clan or tribe and you see men who have ducks on top of their head, it's because the women respond to the guys who have ducks on top of their head. You go to another tribe and they got turtles on top of their head. And it's because the women sexually select and prefer the men who have turtles on top of their head. Her sexual preference is what they form themselves into. The males of a community and society, they form themselves according to the sexual preferences of the females. Who are the females checking for? When they out in public and they start groping their hair and showing their neck and glancing in their flirtatious behavior, who is it that they look at? That is the image that males strive to become in that community. Because they want to get chose too. They want the choosing signals. Females are socializing agents in every tribe. You look in the black community, why do we have the legacy of being thugs, criminals, drug dealers? Because African American females have been programmed to select that as their sexual mate, their sexual preference. They are sexually attracted to that image. And they have been for as long as I've been alive, since the 80s crack epidemic, the D-boy. So for that reason, young African American males, so-called, I hate that fucking term, young Moors or indigenous black, so-called black peoples, have patterned themselves to stand in that image because it's the only way to get the attention from the girl. It ain't fucking rocket science. Birds and motherfucking bees. We're having a shift in what females are going to start giving choosing signals for. The last phase was celebratory for females as they came to the zenith of their feminism. That ended with South Node Libra. So now that this is being reversed through Cancer Jupiter, her sexual desire catalog is going to change. She now will start to look for the innovative and creative, stable man. The innovative and creative, stable man, because he is what means security. And who does that look like? Through Uranus, masculine, it is the one who innovates through technology and social influence. Through Mars, Aries, it is the one who is creative, blue collar, skilled craftsman, frugality, makes no noise, has consistent pattern every day that does not change. It is these two images of males that she's going to be looking for as she now is going to socialize herself in a different climate or different preference that she's going to respond to. She's now going to respond to who fits into a domestic clandestine circumstance that allows her to feel like she has greater probability of survival and stability for herself and her children. There is a wave of realization that picking up the cell phone to purchase services is no longer a convenient option that highlights her status of being a single woman. She is no longer going to be interested in being single. She's not going to celebrate being single anymore. Being single is going to be for the birds in her perception. She's going to walk away from the celebration of being by herself. The same boring man, the frugal man, the 9-to-5 man, the blue-collar man, who she turned her nose up at, that's going to become her Prince Charming. I'm bringing these things up to say that we could do a lot to help ourselves as women. Well, you can. I'm not a fucking woman. You could do a lot to help yourself by clarifying what your moral convictions are. By clarifying how you relate to truth, or rather or not you are one to reject truth. Understanding what your role is in the relationships that you have in your life. With your siblings, your husband, your brother, business partners, co-workers, whoever else. Your foundational default role and position is to make sure that everyone is always in sight of and consideration of the moral integrity that must be there. Not violating moral thresholds. To always advocate for the weak or disadvantaged. And to always consider the ethical principle and diplomacy as a preferred method and route to creativity and connections. Be intentional about this with yourself as a woman, because it is your natural power and it makes a difference. We are working through guilty conscience right now collectively on this earth. Every demographic has a guilty conscience about something, especially white America. Especially white America. This is the time where white America is being examined by the universe. The resume of white America, the history of white America, the social policies and constructs of white America, the legacy of white America throughout the whole entire globe, how you have affected indigenous peoples, what your forefathers have done to indigenous peoples, who they have been in history. Karma is here to bring those consequences. And ain't nobody getting out of it. Nobody. You gonna do this motherfucking work. Karma is here for white supremacy. It is here for white Christian nationalism. It is here for white supremacy. And many of you are innocent of that. Many of you have not subscribed to that, have not participated in that, and do not condone it. But it doesn't mean that you don't owe to the house of your forefathers. We owe to the house of our forefathers. Whatever is in the house of our forefathers, we are responsible for. What is in the house of your forefathers? Somebody put toxicity, plague, curse, covenant, oppression, injustice, wrongdoing in the houses of our forefathers. And in this present life, we are responsible for making sure that it is contained, that it is labeled, identified, and contained. And that we are actively confessing our position with it actively atoning for it, which manifests self-forgiveness and forgiveness for others concerning those same themes. Because forgiveness is an active practice, not just something you say to fuck out your mouth. We have to atone for what our forefathers have put in our houses. You can't hide behind somebody else. You can't pretend like you don't fucking see it. You can't act like you holy, righteous, and on a moral high horse and have no obligation or responsibility to what the fuck is going on the earth. Get your ass up and do your portion. Because I promise you it will come to your door and knock, because ain't nobody getting out of it. It will come to your door and knock. Mark my words. Every woman has the greater power in this time period that we're in. And the greater power of women is to be the illuminating moon that shines light on where our morality needs to be. The recovery of our moral compass. The recovery of our conscience that should have been there all along to guide our actions and ways. To save us from the penalty of further karma. To save us from self-destruction and oppression to self and others. To advocate for those who don't have a voice. Essentially, man is on earth to chase pussy and to take care of whatever comes out that motherfucker. And woman has consent, or who gets to manifest that with her or not. And with her being at the gate of rebirth, the gate of longevity, the womb that is to be reverenced from which we bore, she being the owner of that gate, it is only through her consent that man can bring that to reality. But what happens when she is not living, but she is dead? There is no conscience. There is no good. And now we manifest corruption through our seeds. We manifest tyranny through our seeds. Dysfunction through our seeds. Generational curses through our seeds. Because of the pairing of dead women and dead men. Many of you will hear this message, and few of you will accept it. But the few of you who accept it, please go and explain it in ways that are better than what I have explained it, because I'm limited. Make it clear, make it known, make it understood. It can't stop here. You have to participate. You have to do your portion. You have to play your role. Woman is conscience. You are to be the conscience in the relationship, the conscience in the clan, the conscience in the tribe, the conscience in the community, the conscience in the group, the conscience in society. If your men of your blood, the men of your nation, the men of your household are being evil, wicked, and oppressive, narcissistic, abusive, we could go down the line. Patriarchal without any connection to the matriarchal order and foundation of life. They are in violation. And you are the officer of the Heavenly Father that witnesses to our behavior here in earth. And it doesn't mean that you as women have to control anyone. It's enough for you to say and testify that what you're doing is wrong, it's not right, and you should change. And if you don't change, you're going to regret what you do. It's enough for you to say that. and then let Allah manifest his power through you. Because when Allah manifests his power through you, that karma is coming right after that word left your mouth as a woman. That karma is en route. It's coming. It's tracking them down like a fucking bloodhound, and it ain't gonna miss them. It's gonna get him. And that karma is going to seize him, arrest him, and teach him final note. Where are you with your clairvoyance? Where are you with discernment? The power of your intuition. Do you have spiritual power, spiritual force? Are you being intentional to cultivate it in yourself? You could believe a lie if not. You could easily be deceived if not, especially in this time. Neptune has a lot on his plate. We are going through many smoky mirrors of deception, delusions, illusions. Let's keep it a buck. You fell for it, didn't you? Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, the low-budget film drama, the lies, putting someone out front with very low IQ arguments, talking points, only addressing people who are not in the intellectual capacity to really challenge such statistical arguments. And some of you thought it's the perfect escape from the pressure. It's the perfect justification. It's the perfect hiding place for what has been made clear to us as our divine assignments to move through this spiritual work, this portion that's on our plates. You ain't getting out of that. Ain't nobody getting out of nothing. White America has some karma to work through. The lifespan of white superiority, Roman superiority, white Christian nationalism, white supremacy, it's over. The era is done. Pluto has come full route, full course, and it's somebody else's turn. Running away, pretending like it don't pertain to you, acting like you ain't got no work to do in this, that is not going to help you. Come clean. Confess. Atone. Clear your conscience. And as women specifically, especially, become the conscience again. You have to be the conscience of the men, the fathers, the brothers of your community, of your tribe. You do. You're the conscience. This is where who has been ruling now steps off a throne. The abuse of indigenous people all over this earth, it's a legacy that's coming to an end. That story is ending. You don't have to like it. Just like feminists don't have to like the fact that feminism is also ending right along with it. What a coinky-dink. They're both going down together. Don't fall for the lies. I know you see it. Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk, the white supremacists in office, they're all making a fool of themselves. They're making it worse for themselves. They're making it more and more obvious that all of this is fictitious. All of it is manufactured. All of it is fake. They're making it more obvious. How do you feel knowing that it's not that you believed it, it's just that you didn't want to believe that it's all a lie? You didn't want to. Some of you really have some soul searching to do, because you seem to possibly get disappointed with the wrong people. The disappointment is really with yourself for not finding the courage, the boldness, the integrity to remain aligned with what you know to be true. And that's not okay, because what that translates to is you being one more person who enables the oppression and tyranny that gets authorized all over the earth to plague innocent people. And you do it behind a veil of innocence. But I warn you that more exposure is on the way. Don't play yourself.